Rick Lagina has confirmed the discovery of an underground chamber, one so perfectly shaped, so sharply constructed, that it cannot be a natural formation. Metallic walls, flawless geometry, and AI scans matching the exact layout of medieval Templar vaults have turned a centuries-old mystery into something far bigger. But the real shock came when the scanners picked up an unnatural cold zone behind the sealed metallic doorway. 11 degrees colder than the rest of the ground? Experts say only one thing causes this: a chamber sealed for hundreds of years, preserving whatever is inside untouched. Rick's voice trembled as he said, "We've reached something that was never meant to be opened." And just when the crew tried to investigate further, unmarked government vehicles suddenly appeared, shutting down access without warning. Whenever the government arrives quietly, understand, something massive is buried there. Subscribe now, because what's coming next will rewrite history. Let's find out what Rick Lagina discovered. Deeper readings are indicating that there may be a second chamber below the main vault. Imagine if the first discovery turns out to be thousand-year-old Templar engineering, then what will be hidden below? Rick Lagina's moment when his voice cracked slightly in front of the camera will forever be etched in Oak Island history. Rick is never easily excited. He's always calm and grounded, but the fear and excitement that flashed in his eyes that day clearly indicated they'd found something they couldn't have imagined. The crew understood this wasn't a normal discovery. It was something bigger than treasure. Rick remained silent for a few seconds, as if searching for words. The sound of drilling in the background slowly faded, and the entire crew looked at them attentively. Then Rick said softly, "We found something that was never meant to be opened." The air in the room seemed to freeze. Emma looked at Rick without speaking, and Spooner simply took a deep breath. No one could understand what Rick was hiding in that line: fear, excitement, or warning. But the tone was clear. Something had been found below, something that humans had deliberately sealed. Rick explained that when he first touched the metallic wall, the temperature was completely different from the rest of the ground. The surface was unnaturally smooth, as if someone had given it a perfect finish centuries ago. Sensors consistently gave high readings, and AI mapping detected hollow patterns inside the vault. Rick explained that this structure wasn't like normal medieval storage. It had a purpose, and that purpose was probably to ensure it was never opened. This thought was constantly running through every crew member's mind. What could be inside? The intensity of that moment was so high that the production team paused camera movement for a moment, focusing on Rick's face. Rick continued, "Whatever is behind it, it's bigger than we thought." His voice was steady, but his eyes clearly betrayed his own shock. This was the first time Rick openly admitted that beneath Oak Island lay not just gold or artifacts, but a vault protected by an ancient order, perhaps the Templar Order. And now, centuries later, it's finally on the verge of opening. The AI scan findings blew the minds of the entire Oak Island crew. Typically, natural formations found underground have curves, rough edges, and random shapes. But when the subsurface drawing appeared, the entire team fell silent for a few seconds. The screen displayed 90-degree angles, perfect, sharp, and absolutely straight. Nature never creates such geometry on its own. Staring at the screen, Rick simply said, "This is engineered, not accidental." Hearing this line, the rest of the crew understood that the matter had gone beyond ordinary treasure. The AI also detected a rare symmetry in the vault's outer walls, almost equal thickness all around, a perfect rectangular layout, and every corner in mirror copy precision. Dr. Spooner himself said that if this was medieval work, the engineering was impossible for that time. Achieving such precise measurements with normal tools was extremely difficult. This further fueled suspicions that this vault was built by a highly skilled, secretive group, and the most logical name emerged: the Templar Order. More mysterious was the fact that the scan exposed two separate compartments inside the vault. Both compartments had the same kind of layout, with a narrow corridor dividing them and forming a perfect cross shape. This matched the classic Templar vault pattern seen in certain hidden European sites. The crew's body language made it obvious that their confidence was slowly shifting into fear, because if this really was a Templar-style vault, then there could be more than treasure waiting inside. Something history had never dared to mention. The AI mapping also detected symbols like markings, straight-line designs, looped patterns, and cross-shaped signals. These readings came from behind the metallic walls, showing that the vault wasn't just an empty shell. Something solid was hidden within. And when the scan revealed another faint outline in a deeper layer, Emma instantly said, "Guys, this is not one vault. There might be another chamber underneath it." In that moment, the crew realized Oak Island's biggest twist was only now beginning. When the crew finally uncovered the sealed metallic door, none of them imagined the space behind it would feel so bizarre. At first glance, the door didn't resemble an ancient vault at all. Its surface was oddly smooth, almost as if it were shaped not by hand, but by a precise machine. The real shock hit when they ran the thermal readings. The temperature behind the door was nearly 11 degrees lower than the surrounding soil. Such a huge difference didn't match anything seen in normal geology. Dr. Spooner immediately said, "This is sealed air untouched for centuries." Hearing that sent a strange chill through the crew. Moisture scanners added another layer of mystery. Intense moisture spikes appeared around the door's edges, while the rest of the soil was completely dry. This contrast didn't look like a natural water pocket. After examining the data, Emma said, "This is controlled humidity. Someone sealed this on purpose." The sensors kept flashing red alerts. Vibration, metal density, and temperature data all showed unnatural levels. It felt as if a large hollow chamber was waiting behind the door, still holding ancient air. This was the kind of environment where history hides, and maybe something more. When Rick first placed his hand on the door, a metallic thump echoed through the soil. Deep, sharp, and unnervingly clear. Charles instantly stepped back and said, "That's not just a wall. That's a structure." For one brief moment, the crew felt they were about to witness the island's greatest revelation. Even the production team steadied the camera and locked it onto that exact moment, aware that this might be one of Oak Island's rarest discovery scenes. The expressions on the crew's faces were unforgettable. Emma's eyes were glowing with a mix of fear and excitement. She stared at the door as if weighing whether touching it was wise. Charles turned to Rick and said, "If we open this, the story changes." Spooner remained silent for a few seconds. His breath was heavy, and his eyes stayed fixed on the readings. Even he couldn't guess what lay behind the door. Gold, artifacts, or something no one would ever expect. A heavy silence spread through the crew, like everyone was about to step across an invisible boundary. Even the production background became unnaturally quiet. No chatter, no movement, just pure tension. Rick spoke softly. "Guys, this is not normal. We've never seen engineering like this." After he said that, all jokes and casual talk vanished. Everyone understood Oak Island was no longer a simple treasure hunt. It was turning into something far bigger. Emma aimed the scanner at the bottom edge of the door one last time, and suddenly the reading shot up. A full red bar. She stepped back, startled, and said, Something is moving behind that surface. The entire crew froze. Rick quickly suggested it might be an air pressure shift, but Spooner shook his head and said, "No, this is a structural shift." In that moment, the whole team realized one thing. This door wasn't just closed. It was part of an ancient mechanism, and opening it could unravel one of history's greatest secrets. Fear sparkled in the crew's eyes, but their excitement grew even stronger because they now knew the metallic door wasn't simply the entrance to a chamber. It was a piece of centuries-old engineering, sealed deliberately so no one would ever access it. And now, after all these ages, it was standing in front of humans again for the first time. The government's sudden appearance on Oak Island became a mystery of its own. The crew was simply checking the metallic door readings when two unmarked SUVs slowly rolled onto the site. There were no official symbols or department tags on them, just dark-tinted windows and two officers stepping out immediately. Their body language said everything: serious, direct, and carrying the urgency of stopping something before it happened. The crew could tell these weren't routine inspectors. These were the type of people only dispatched when something significant is discovered. As soon as they arrived, the first thing they ordered was to set up a temporary restricted perimeter around the area. Even the production team was told to step back, and strict limits were placed on camera movement. Rick seemed clearly frustrated, but stayed composed and asked the officers what the issue was. They only replied, "We need to verify what you're digging into." That one line made the whole team freeze, because it was obvious the government already knew something, or the readings had triggered something on their radar. The crew had no idea why the digging was suddenly being halted. Later, Emma said the officers kept circling the area near the metallic door like their attention was locked onto it. Suspicion deepened when they quietly pulled Dr. Spooner aside and asked him for details about the samples. Spooner's expression showed he wasn't comfortable at all. It suddenly felt like the government wanted control over every tiny activity on Oak Island. But the question was, why? The second major twist came when the metal test reports arrived. The tiny particles the crew had scraped from the edges of the door were sent for a quick lab examination, and the results stunned everyone. The sample contained a perfectly engineered alloy of zinc and copper, something medieval tools couldn't have produced. But this alloy was different: high density, almost no erosion, and an unusual metallic signature. Spooner instantly said that this was a deliberately engineered alloy, not a natural blend. Emma pointed out that the composition matched medieval Templar metallurgy exactly. Between the 12th and 14th centuries, the Templar order used specialized zinc-copper alloys for vaults, ceremonial containers, and sealed mechanisms. One historian even mentioned that this alloy existed only in structures the Templars built for sacred protection. When the crew compared the test data, the percentage ratios were nearly an exact match. This meant the vault wasn't ordinary. It was likely a Templar-engineered vault. Right after this discovery, the officers' behavior became noticeably stricter. They tried to peek at the results and questioned how deep the chamber went. Rick reminded them that the project was private, and the show had clear rules. The officers responded coldly, "Just making sure you're not accessing something classified." That comment created a ripple of unease. A classified medieval vault, government involvement. All of it felt extremely strange. Slowly, the crew began realizing that perhaps the government feared something ancient that was never meant to be opened. Or maybe they already knew a secret structure existed under Oak Island whose discovery could trigger massive historical or political consequences. The government's sudden interest and the connection to ancient metallurgy pointed to one conclusion. This wasn't a normal treasure vault. It was something built by a group centuries old, dedicated to keeping their secrets buried from the world. One of the most astonishing discoveries on Oak Island was the connection between the Templar route and old maps. When the crew compared ancient maps with modern AI scans, countless details emerged that had gone unnoticed before. An old hand-drawn map from the 1700s had strange markings near the shoreline. 3 straight lines and a small X, almost as if pointing to a deep underground structure. For years, people assumed it was a random sketch, but when the AI layered the vault's exact position over the old map, the X aligned almost perfectly with where the metallic door stands today. The accuracy was so shocking that the crew couldn't believe it, and the surprises didn't stop there. A forgotten sketch found in an old archival box turned out to resemble the vault's layout almost exactly. The sketch showed a rectangular chamber, double-layered walls, and a narrow passage at the center. When Dr. Spooner placed the sketch beside the modern scan, he said, "This is the same structure." Rick simply nodded, as though his decades of intuition were finally being confirmed. It was becoming clearer that the Templars, or some secret maritime group, had intentionally hidden something on this island. The shoreline markings themselves weren't random either. Emma pointed out that many old maps showed drop-off points, places where medieval ships could quietly stop without being noticed. Oak Island's southern shore shared the same features: deep water, quick access, and concealed entry points. This meant the vault wasn't created by accidental digging, but was part of a planned maritime route. It looked as if the Templar Knights had chosen this exact location centuries ago and built according to a precise blueprint. Then came the strange echo experiment, a moment that made everyone's heart pound. The crew stood in front of the metallic door while Rick picked up a small steel rod and gently tapped it. The sound that came back wasn't a normal metallic thud. A clear, ringing tone resonated instead. It was sharp, clean, and vibrated perfectly. Spooner immediately said, "This is hollow." Something big was behind it. The metallic ring had a delay of about 1.3 seconds, which meant the sound was traveling through a deep cavity and returning. This wasn't imagination. It was scientific evidence that a large empty chamber existed inside. Emma then performed a second test, tapping the side of the door to track the echo's direction. This time, the echo came from directly below, like there was a multi-layered space behind the door. Charles held his breath and said, "Guys, that's a deep chamber, a big one." The crew's eyes locked on each other. They were now convinced that beneath Oak Island was not just a pocket or a tiny room, but a massive engineered vault. Rick ran the ground sensor at close range, and once again the readings spiked. The vibration graph displayed an unusual dip pattern, the kind that appears only when there's a large open void below. Spooner calmly said, "This is not natural geology. No chance." A heavy silence fell over the crew as every clue lined up. Old maps, the secret sketch, shoreline symbols, and now the echo tests. All of it pointed toward a vault built by a centuries-old secret order. The echo experiment boosted both their confidence and their fear. A hollow chamber implied something large, heavy, and possibly dangerous might be waiting inside. Rick softly said, "If this really is the main chamber, then we're standing on the edge of history." At that exact moment, everyone understood. Oak Island was no longer just a discovery. Oak Island was speaking for itself. The sudden water pressure anomaly in the money pit became a mystery of its own, shaking the whole crew. Water flow on Oak Island is always unpredictable, but this time the readings were entirely different. While the crew was drilling toward the zone with the metallic door, the depth sensors revealed a sudden 60% drop in water level. This kind of drop couldn't be caused by normal seepage or pumping. Rick immediately had the meter checked again, and once more the reading showed the same sharp, abrupt decline. Spooner instantly said, "This means something big just opened below us." The crew's eyes widened because such a dramatic water shift could only happen if a huge empty space had suddenly opened below. Emma inspected the soil moisture around the site, but there was no unusual dryness. That meant the water hadn't escaped to the surface. It had fallen into a large, hollow chamber underneath. Charles quietly said, "If that chamber absorbed the water, it must be massive." The crew felt a wave of adrenaline because this was the kind of sign treasure hunters dream of, a deep underground cavity. This wasn't a natural cave. Its position, depth, and timing lined up perfectly with the vault's location, almost as if a sealed inner system had been disturbed for the first time in hundreds of years. A few minutes after the water pressure anomaly, the AI team ran a deeper scan again. And that's when the real twist hit. The AI detected another cavity, faint but definitely visible, beneath the vault with the metallic door. A second chamber. This chamber lay even deeper than the main vault, and though its outline was somewhat irregular, it still displayed engineered symmetry. Emma spoke with a trembling voice. "Guys, this looks like a two-layer vault system." The crew was floored because two-layer vault structures were used only by highly secretive groups like the Templars in medieval Europe. The AI mapping showed the walls of the second chamber were thicker and denser. This suggested the real treasure, or relics, might lie in the lower chamber, while the upper vault served merely as a protective shell. Spooner calmly explained, "The Templars always kept the main treasure below and built a decoy structure above." This theory now aligned with every clue on Oak Island: the metallic door, the perfect geometry, the hollow echo, the water drop. Rick overlaid the two chambers onto the map layout, and what appeared on the screen changed the entire atmosphere in the room. The main vault looked almost rectangular, but the deeper chamber formed a cross-shaped alignment, a signature design of medieval Templar vaults. Charles whispered, "This is the real chamber. This is where the actual storage would be." The production team zoomed in right then, because the mix of fear and excitement in the crew's eyes looked like a movie scene on its own. When they asked for the depth of the second chamber, the AI estimated it to be roughly 22 to 27 feet deeper, meaning the main vault was only the beginning. Beneath it lay another sealed structure that had likely remained untouched for centuries. The water pressure drop made sense now. It was caused by that lower chamber opening slightly, as if an ancient passage had shifted after ages and let the water rush inside. Hearing this, Rick said one line that instantly became the most intense moment of the entire episode. "If this lower chamber opens, we're not just finding treasure. We're rewriting history." The crew realized the real challenge had just begun. The main vault was now just one door away. The real treasure, the real secret, and the real shock were likely hidden in that deeper Templar chamber. And now it was closer to being revealed than ever before. The crew safety threat that followed became one of the tensest moments in Oak Island's history. As the readings of the second chamber were confirmed, the soil in the drilling area suddenly began shifting. Ground sensors detected repeated sinkhole risks, sharp dips, unstable layers, and hollow vibrations underneath. This meant that even a small mistake could cause the ground above to collapse entirely. Rick immediately ordered the drilling to stop. Risking any crew member's life wasn't worth it. Emma warned that collapsing pockets were forming below, a phenomenon that happens when ancient sealed chambers start to lose pressure after hundreds of years. Spooner quickly assessed the site and found multiple air pockets opening beneath the ground, further weakening the stability. Charles quietly said, "If we go too fast, the whole vault might collapse. After hearing that, the crew's expressions changed instantly. Their excitement shifted into responsibility. The production team had to move back too. The entire perimeter was roped off, and an emergency evacuation path was prepared. This was the first time the Oak Island team realized that their greatest discovery could suddenly turn into a disaster. Rick kept reminding them, "Slow down. This vault waited centuries. It can wait a few more days." Meanwhile, the news of this discovery exploded across the world. Headlines appeared everywhere. Templar vault found. Oak Island mystery cracked. Ancient structure detected beneath money pit. Social media buzzed with endless theories and excitement. Several Christian heritage groups released statements saying that if this truly was a Templar vault, it would be one of the rarest discoveries in human history. Many historians had long claimed that the Templars never reached North America, but once they saw the geometric designs and ancient metallurgy indicated by the AI scans, even the critics had no explanation left. Scholars, archaeologists, and conspiracy researchers all asked the same question: is this the real Templar vault? Some experts suggested that a two-layer chamber design was used only for sacred relic protection, meaning the vault might contain far more than gold or coins, perhaps artifacts that had been hidden or erased from recorded history. The global reaction was so intense that Oak Island became a worldwide trend. People everywhere kept asking Rick Lagina for updates. Excitement was even stronger within Christian communities, who believed the Templar archives included sacred relics moved to secret locations before the order fell. Many now believed Oak Island could be one of those secret relocation points. Discussions were raging across YouTube, Twitter, and Reddit. What's inside the chamber? Why did the government show up? Is history about to change? As crew safety threats increased and worldwide hype continued to grow, Oak Island reached a point where every second mattered. Danger was on one side, and the world was watching closely. Rick and the team now moved with extreme caution, because beneath them lay not just another vault, but possibly the greatest historical mystery ever buried. Thanks for watching the video, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment.